Hello everyone and welcome to Shifting Gears, and as you can see I am riding the 2025 KTM 390 Enduro R. So now before I start riding, let us very quickly revise the specifications, and also let me tell you that this is only going to be a road ride review, a detailed road ride review. We already have another video which we have uploaded in the past where we speak about all the features of this motorcycle, the design changes, the way it handles off the road, and just what different do you get on this bike compared to the 390 Adventure. That video is already live. In this video we are only going to focus how this motorcycle performs on the road when you are, say for example, riding for a long distance. If you're going out for a weekend ride, that is also very important, because even if you buy an off-road specific motorcycle, even if you buy an enduro motorcycle, you still do spend most of your time on tarmac. So let us find out how this bike performs out on the normal streets. So speaking about specifications, the KTM 390 Enduro R is powered by a 398.63cc 4-stroke single-cylinder DOHC motor, which produces 46 PS of power and 39 Newton meters of torque. Now with this motorcycle you are getting a 21-inch front wheel, an 18-inch rear wheel, and the sprockets are different when you compare it to the likes of the 390 Adventure. But the engine tune on the 390 Adventure and on this 390 Enduro R, it is identical. But on the Enduro R you do not get an additional rain ride mode. You only get street and off-road ride modes. With this 390 Enduro R you get a curb weight of 177 kg. The seat height is 860 millimeters, ground clearance is 253 millimeters, and you get a fuel tank which is only 9 liters in capacity. Speaking about suspension, at the front you get a 43 mm upside down fork with 30 click adjustment for compression and rebound, and at the back you get a monoshock with 10-step preload adjustability and 20-step adjustment for damping. The front wheel travel is 200 millimeters and the rear wheel travel is 205 millimeters. Now, although the suspension looks the same in terms of numbers, it feels very different, and also the suspension tune is completely different when you compare the Enduro R with the 390 Adventure. So now that you know everything in terms of specifications, now that we have revised the numbers, let us start riding this bike and on tarmac. The service indicator is already up because the odometer has moved above 1000 kilometers. So let's go, let's hit the road. So we are riding from Lonavala towards Mumbai, and it's a Sunday morning, so you will see a lot of bikers zip zap zoom around me. So please excuse me if you have a lot of noise around you from some really loud 4-cylinder motorcycles. But let me tell you, when you are riding a 390 Enduro R or a 390 Adventure, you are just as fast as those bikes on such a weekend ride, because the 390 series of bikes from KTM, they are fast, but when you get into the adventure and enduro world, they are just so much more capable, because the roads are really bad and you can just ride over any kind of terrain with absolute ease when you compare to other expensive motorcycles. So don't feel like you have a weak motorcycle and that you are going to be left behind. You might actually reach faster than some 4-cylinder riders on such routes. Now, the last time I was riding the KTM 390 Enduro R, I spent all my time on a trail. This is the first time that I am riding this bike on tarmac. Never did we get an opportunity last time to ride this bike on the road. This is the first time I'm on the road, and let me tell you, I have been mighty pleased. I was actually planning to buy the KTM 390 Adventure, but I did not because it just didn't really excite me that much. But later, when I rode the 390 Enduro R, this was quite a fun motorcycle, and it just was an eye-opening experience that, such products can also make a lot of sense. And even in the real world, it is quite an impressive product. So if you're looking for fun and only outright fun, the 390 Enduro R is a better product for you, for the fun seeker, compared to the 390 Adventure. But otherwise, in terms of practicality, the 390 Adventure, of course, is better because this just has a 9-liter fuel tank. So long touring ability is really compromised with this bike. But we'll talk more on that later in a few minutes. As you can notice, the road is absolutely pathetic. Horrible roads. But my bottom is not complaining because the suspension, I have played around with the setting and it feels so comfortable that I am not at all worried about what the Indian roads would throw towards me when I am riding this bike, because it just can tackle everything so easily, and the bike just feels so agile. Even when you are riding a bit zigzag over such terrain, it just stays in your control at all times, and it stays very well poised also. It doesn't lose composure while, tackling these broken terrain. And then even if you're carrying some extra speed, it's not really scary. So, it's a very welcoming motorcycle. It's a very different kind of a motorcycle for someone who has never ridden an enduro. So the format is very different, very new. But once you get a hang of it, you are going to have a lot of fun on the road when you are trying to go off-road or when you're trying to reach a certain trail. And overtaking, of course, slow-moving traffic, no problem at all, because the KTM 390 series, it is just such a blast to ride. Alright, so first things first now, who is this motorcycle for? Now KTM says that compared to the 390 Adventure, this bike is a level up in their own adventure scale when they consider the enduros and dual sports and adventure motorcycles. They say that the 390 Enduro R is a more capable machine compared to the 390 Adventure. So that is what KTM says openly. Alright, so that is not my claim, that is what the brand says very clearly. But if you are someone who never likes to venture into the wild, who doesn't really ride off-road, then this bike can be a bit overkill for you, and maybe you buy something more practical, because you get such a tall seat height which you might like or dislike. Then you get tube type rims and tires. So if this bike is gonna get punctured, it's gonna take some time, and it's gonna take a lot of effort compared to other tubeless setups. The 390 Adventure has tubeless spoked wheels. This bike has spoked wheels, but these are not of the tubeless types. There is no sealing rubber on the inside of these rims, so keep that in mind. This is not a tubeless setup. The roads are wild. Just have a look at this. Always be careful when you're riding a motorcycle too. Don't get carried away. Even if people around you are zooming past, ride your bike in your limit. No FOMO YOLO in life, because your life, your responsibility. So be safe. Then again, if you are someone who likes to go only long distance touring, then again the 390 Adventure is a better product. It has a nice tall windscreen, so better wind protection. It offers you cruise control, and it also has a larger fuel tank. And of course, it has a better headlamp as well. So the 390 Adventure has quite a few benefits compared to the 390 Enduro R. So that is a more well-rounded product, a more well-suited product for a versatile rider. This is very, very specific. This is for someone who wants to go off-road and who wants to, ride it really hard through a trail. This bike is for such buyers. This bike is not for someone who, takes it easy, who is a very cautious rider, who doesn't risk it too much when the going gets tough. So if you fall in the safe zone of riding and not the thrill zone of riding, then maybe you can keep off the Enduro R and just buy the 390 tube, the 390 Adventure X, or the top trim of the 390 Adventure, the S, I guess, in India. So that is that. Who is it for? So if you want to go off-roading, then it has a lot of capability, which we have explained in the previous video. But this video is only about the road riding ability. And first things first, which you can see right now, is that I am riding through a winding road, and it is not a difficult bike to maintain at all. When I was on my way going uphill on this Khopoli Ghat, I had a friend of mine who was riding the KLX, the 200cc class. I guess it's the KLX 230, I forgot. But when he saw me ride this bike, when we were chatting, he did mention that this bike looks big. Now compared to that KLX, of course it is big, and it is a lot more tech loaded as well. But he works for Kawasaki, he sits on that KLX very often, and then as soon as he saw this Enduro R, he said it does feel like a big bike. And now when I'm riding through such winding roads with a 21-inch front wheel, with an 18-inch rear wheel, it doesn't feel too much. It doesn't feel too slow to turn in, to tip into the corner. So, it's not a difficult motorcycle at all, and it is not a heavy motorcycle at all. It is a very easy bike to manage. So even if you are not used to this capacity of motorcycles, this 390 Enduro R is not going to intimidate you, except you are short in your height, which is why you can find that this bike is a bit too much to handle, because you might not have both your feet on the ground. For my height, I'm 5 feet 8 inches, I weigh 85 kg, so I do get the suspension to sag a bit with my weight. And also my feet, I do get them on the ground. Let me show that to you, okay? So I'm just gonna pull over to the shoulder. I'm wearing proper enduro boots, so check this out. My left foot on the ground, my right foot on the ground. So both my feet on the ground, but I'm not completely flat footing. I may be very comfortable and confident, and I can push the bike forward and backward, but not flat footing. So that is an honest feedback. So if you're 5'8" or shorter, if you're 5'7" or shorter, maybe you will have to, get one of your foot down at a time, and having both your feet on the ground at the same time might be a challenge. Just that. Apart from that, in terms of handling the bike, managing the bike when you're on the go, absolutely no complaints at all. So far, I have ridden this motorcycle for over 100 kilometers, and like I said, no complaints at all. Now, let's start talking about the rideability on the road. So, this bike offers you two ride modes. As you can notice, it has street mode and it has off-road mode. Alright, you can change these modes on the go, and you can use this joystick with a gloved hand very easily, no problems at all. It also looks quite nice, and the build quality is also great. All the buttons, all the switches are of top quality. The levers are adjustable too, so no problem in terms of ergonomics and playing around with the motorcycle, with what it can do and what it offers. So these ride modes, like I said when I was explaining the specifications, the tuning is the same on the Enduro R and on the 390 Adventure. So in road mode, you can say, for example, street mode, sorry, not road mode. When you configure it, you can switch between traction control options, quick shifter options, and also your display mode. All right. And then when you go to off-road mode, if I just activate off-road mode, let me do that. Okay, off-road mode is active. When I configure off-road mode, again I have the option of traction control, quick shifter, and display mode. Now if you very quickly want to take a glance and not get into the menu, check this out. You can just use this joystick and press the down button, and then you get a quick glance of what is happening. Your trip computer, your odometer, your average speed, and your speed, and your selected gear, and other telltale lights. All right, so all of this is very easy to consume on the go. The speedometer does look small, but the information is very easy to consume. Even under top sun right now, no problem in terms of reflection or glare, so that is good. Now if I go back to ride mode and if I go back to street mode, check this out. ABS is now in road mode. Now this is the mode in which we are going to use this motorcycle. If I very quickly show you other details, and I configure it, check this out. Traction control is in street mode, quick shifter is on, and display mode is at the standard setting. Okay, these are the controls that I get over the engine and the ride modes which are offered. And as you noticed, I'm riding the bike, I'm in traffic, but all of this is very easy to understand, control, and change. So no problems in terms of doing what you need to do. It doesn't distract you too much. Of course, that is also because I have quite a few hundreds and thousands of kilometers on a motorcycle, so I'm comfortable and confident while doing so. If you are new to the bike, take some time getting used to, and then do all of this on the go. But whenever you are going to change between the ride modes, between street and off-road, you have to kill the throttle. You can't have it open and then make changes to the ride modes. You will also get a pop-up on the speedometer which will tell you that you have to kill the throttle for the riding mode change to happen. All right, so keep that in mind. Now that we are on the highway riding towards Mumbai, let us first address the concern over vibrations. When I spent my first day with the Enduro R, which was a couple of days ago, when I was riding it off the road, I didn't really understand any vibration issues because we were on a trail, we were not on a flat surface. So that wasn't really a good opportunity to identify vibrations, if any. But the 390 Adventure, I came riding from Goa all the way till Mumbai. I used that bike for over 700-800 kilometers in 2 to 3 days. And on that bike, yes, vibration was a bit of a concern. You could hear the vibration from the front dome, you could feel it on the pegs, and there were vibrations, so there was no denying that fact. On this bike, what I thought was that the knobby pattern tires could also add to that issue, and maybe the tires would not offer you a typical road-friendly riding experience. But I am happy to report that these tires are not really adding to any such concern. But vibrations, yes, I do feel it, and I do feel it on the foot pegs. Now as you can notice, I don't have rubber tops on the pegs right now, and because of that, the vibrations which I might be noticing could be a bit more enhanced. But what they are right now, they are not too much. They are not to the point that I can't ride this bike for a long time. And there is no real vibration which is concerning on the handlebar, and that is good. Yes, there is a mild buzz on the bars, on the handlebars, but it's not something that I will really complain about. It is not something that is going to make or break the deal. Will you feel it? Yes. Is it a problem? I don't think so. But on the pegs, yes, you will feel it, and you will feel it a bit more when you're revving the bike hard as well. So keep that in mind. Do take a long test ride if you are planning to buy this 390 Enduro R or the new 390 Adventure. So just to explain it to you, check this out. Ringing the throttle. When you get on the gas and when you are higher on the revs, even at that time, you do feel that buzz and a bit more on the left peg than the right peg. So that is my observation, which I want to share with you about vibrations. On the handlebar, nothing concerning, and as you can notice, the mirrors are also sturdy enough, not too much of a buzz that it is blurring my rearward visibility. So that is something that you should know. Now let's talk about performance. I'm on the highway, and as you can notice, there are very few cars, or maybe none, which are overtaking me, because typical of the KTM 390 series of bikes, this engine, the old engine and this new engine, it is very potent, it is very explosive to ride, and it is really fast. It is actually all the power that you need on an Indian road. It is fast, it is reasonably efficient, and it is furious when you get on the gas from a standstill and you go redlining on all gears. It does go from 0 to 100 really quickly, and it is sports car quick at this price, which is quite a compliment, isn't it? Even on this Enduro R, you know, if you start sprinting, it doesn't feel slow and lethargic at all. Just to explain it to you how fast this motorcycle is from a standstill, I'm going to come over to a halt, standstill, and now in 3, 2, 1, check this out. Quick shifter is on, and very fast, isn't it? Very rapid acceleration, and I mean, who is going to complain about power being less on this 390 Enduro R? I am not complaining, and I don't think there would be too many people who would say that this is a slow motorcycle. In terms of performance, I think this is all that you need out on the Indian streets. Let us check out the roll-on acceleration. Alright, so as you can notice, I'm in 6th gear. I'm letting the speed drop to 60. Alright, so as you can notice, I'm at 60 now, and getting on the gas. Have a look at that speedometer, check out the speed climb, check out the revs climb, and no problem, no major hesitation, rolling on with the throttle wide open from 60 kmph in 6th gear, no problem. But if I downshift, check this out, now I'm in 4th gear. I am now in the meat of the power band, and now again I am at 60 kilometers per hour. This time if I get on the gas, it's more aggressive, and because you are in the peak power band, you can accelerate really hard and really fast. So out on the highway, this engine is all that you need. Again, just for your reference, I am in street mode, ABS is in road mode, the traction control is on, and also the quick shifter is active. Alright, so now let me show you how the quick shifter is working on this bike. So downshifting, as you can notice, no use of the clutch. 3rd gear, getting on the gas, upshifting to 4th, upshifting to 5th, and now upshifting to 6th. No problem at all. Now again, check this out, downshifting, 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 and mid corner, getting on the gas, upshifting, upshifting, no problem, no concern at all. The quick shifter on this new 390 Enduro R, even on the new 390 Adventure and also on the new 390 Duke, it is much better than how it worked when it was first introduced with the 390 Adventure, the first gen 390 Adventure. This works flawless every single time that I have used it, so I am very happy with it. And yes, it is very useful. Now, some people might say that this is an off-road specific motorcycle, why do you need a quick shifter? I mean, it doesn't add value in terms of shredding any lap times, but it just takes away your effort of using the clutch. So upshifting and downshifting becomes an easy and, you know, stress-free affair. You don't have to worry about grabbing the clutch. Just, you know, press that gear lever or flick it to upshift or press it to downshift, and it's just that easy. And it doesn't feel clunky either. It works smoothly. It is not at all problematic. It doesn't, you know, false shift too much. I did notice some false shifts, but that was after I had given a shift input. I think I am wearing MX boots, so check this out. Maybe these boots could be the problem for those false shifts and not the gearbox or the quick shifter. So I'm just being honest. The next point out on the highway which you should address is wind blast. Now this 390 Enduro R is a fast motorcycle. If you buy it and if you are going to go long distance touring with this bike, you are going to be riding fast quite a bit, because the bike is that capable to do triple digit speeds with absolute ease. When I tried to hard accelerate the bike, it could just achieve 140 kmph in no time and very effortlessly, and it did not feel stressed while being at that speed at all. But at triple digit speeds, because this is an enduro motorcycle, there is no windscreen, there is no wind deflector over here, you are going to feel the wind blast. Now it is a hot sunny day today, so I am not, you know, complaining about the wind blast because it is keeping me very comfortable. But for long distance touring, if you are going to ride for 6-7 hours, the wind blast can get a bit, you know, tiring to some riders who prefer to be in a nice cocoon. So keep that in mind, guys. So the wind blast is going to be felt, and there is nothing you can do about it in this format. If you add a windscreen on this Enduro R, the bike is going to look really bad. Also, this Enduro R by default is not really a good looking or a beautiful machine. It is a rather purpose built machine. The panels are also purpose built. They have a lot of flexibility, they have a lot of give, so even if you drop it, it is not going to break that easily. The graphics that you see on the side panels, they are, you know, in sync with the panel. They are within the panel, they are not stickers on the panel, so it is not going to get scratched and look aged very soon. So that way also you can really abuse this bike really hard and it will still try to look as good as it possibly can. So yeah, windscreen, don't do it. If you need it, just go buy the 390 Adventure. This is not a bike for highway high speed touring. This is for off-roading. Another problem which could come up is that these tires can get punctured. You get tube type tires and rims with this 390 Enduro R, so that also, you know, takes away that calm in your mind when you're going for a long distance ride, that, you know, your tires, you can fix them even if they get punctured very soon. With this bike, it will take some effort. Now the next point is the gearbox and the clutch. Clutch action, nice and light, slipper assist clutch with this 390 Enduro R, and the effort required is no problem at all. Very easy to, you know, modulate the clutch as well when you are trying to slip it in a certain situation. And the gearbox is also slick, no complaints with the gearbox either. The quick shifter, like I said, it works flawlessly every single time that you give it an input. Check this out right now, playing around with the gearbox, no problem, and good easy operation. The levers, the clutch and the brake lever, you can adjust it for your finger reach for better comfort, so that also is a good feature to have. So overall, this 390 Enduro R, it is quite a welcoming motorcycle. Yes, that seat height number might make you think twice about swinging your leg on it, but once you start riding it, this is so much fun. And I don't know why, I have really enjoyed riding this bike more compared to the 390 Adventure. I think also because the seat has better padding, the seat height has gone up, but the cushioning that you get for the rider, that has improved, and I think that has also, as a result, kept me comfortable on the saddle of this motorcycle. So, you know, this 390 Enduro R, it is a fun machine, but it is not bad on tarmac. Let's start talking about the ride quality. The suspension, compression and rebound, the front forks, I have adjusted it. The monoshock at the back, I have set it to my liking. I like the ride quality to be more on the plusher side, but I know how to ride around corners with that setting. I don't really go knee dragging or go hardcore accelerating in a corner really fast anyway, because the Indian streets can throw some nasty surprises. So I rather prefer to be more comfortable on the saddle. And let me tell you, this bike has kept me very comfortable throughout my ride. My back, it is not aching. My bottom, it is not complaining. And overall, the suspension tune, which is different compared to the 390 Adventure, it is quite nice. It is quite compliant when you set it up as per your desired riding style and as per your weight. I have had no problems at all. I rode it over some really nasty speed breakers, over some really bad terrain. I tried to take a jump from a speed breaker and I did whatnot antics. I have not bottomed out the suspension on this bike that easily, unless I was doing something really silly. So, you know, for the average commuter who might use this bike on a daily basis as well, the suspension is going to keep you happy, and you know, it rides in a very mature fashion as well. Check this out. If I'm riding it a little fast, even with the softer suspension setting that I have set it at, it stays composed and it stays very well balanced. So, you know, it doesn't move around too much. So check this out. If I have to make some overtaking maneuvers around the corner, no problem. The suspension doesn't, you know, let the bike move too much to the point that it makes you nervous. So the ride quality and body balance of this motorcycle, this 390 Enduro R, it is quite confidence inspiring, and you can just have some fun. It might not be a corner carver, but it can, you know, allow you to be fast and happy through corners. And check this out, on speed breakers you don't necessarily have to slow down too much. The bike, the suspension, it just takes care of it very nicely. So again, a nice upright riding posture, very comfortable, nice handlebar, it's reasonably wide, you sit open chested, you feel nice, you feel that wind on your upper body. Not a problem if you're not riding at triple digit speeds for too long. The seat padding is better in my opinion than the 390 Adventure. And then the suspension tune, and now that I have set it to my liking, I mean, the ride quality is great. When I was riding this bike around home, I know there are some patches which are really, really shitty. That is the most decent word that I can use to describe that road. It is really shitty, the road. But when I was riding this bike, I could carry speeds which I could never think of on my personal motorcycle, which is a Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. Also, when I had my first gen 390 Adventure, even that bike on the same road, I wouldn't ride it as fast as I was riding this Enduro R. It just is such an eye-opening experience that a different format of a motorcycle, a different suspension tune and adjustability of the suspension, it can make such a big difference that you can actually reach somewhere much faster. Check this out. Now this bike, if I just try to cut through lanes this way, and if you're trying to make way, it is not difficult to manage. Let's speak about maneuverability right now. So this motorcycle, this 390 Enduro R, it has a 21-inch front wheel, like I said. So when you're riding this bike, when you're riding this bike through traffic, because of that front wheel, you have to be a bit careful when you're making your way, because you're riding a big motorcycle. You have a big front wheel. Your turning radius can be a bit tricky. So in your initial days of ownership, get used to the bike before trying to cut through traffic, because the way this bike will perform is unlike any other motorcycle which you might have used with a 17 wheel setup. This is a 21-18 wheel setup, and the way it moves is very different. So like I said, it does give you good confidence in corners, but it doesn't slice corners as fast and as sharp as a 390 Duke. And even compared to the 390 Adventure, I don't think this is too much of a difference, but it is not a problem at all. The 390 Adventure also has a 21-inch front wheel, but it has a 17-inch rear wheel. This one has a 18-inch rear wheel, and that is more for off-road ability and for tackling really bad terrain, tackling some rocks and logs. So that rear wheel that you get, the larger wheel on this bike, is more for off-road ability. But in terms of maneuverability, it is not really something that is going to bother you, but it is different, and through corners this bike can feel a bit slow. So understand the motorcycle, it is not a slicer, but it is a good swinger, and it is a very poised swinger. So yeah, that is the right way that I can describe it. It moves from left to right quite nicely, quite confidently, and quite fast, but not sharp. So it is fast, but it is not sharp. So don't try to go knee dragging with this motorcycle. All right, the next point, the brakes. Now with this motorcycle, the front disc is a size smaller, and you do get dual channel ABS, of course. If you want, you can disengage ABS as well, because this is the Enduro R. You get a button to play around with that ABS setting to do it on the fly. And also between street mode, you have proper dual channel ABS. In off-road mode, you can switch to off-road ABS. And in terms of stopping power, I did not find that the bike fell short anywhere. It could put the anchors down quite nicely. Check this out. If I really slam on the front brakes, yes, you will feel some dive depending on the suspension setting that you have set it at, because also there is a lot of suspension travel at the front, so some amount of dive is obvious. But the front disc is also smaller to mitigate that a bit, and also they did not want to give too much of a sharp front bite on this motorcycle, because you're also going to go off-roading with the Enduro R, isn't it? Not that you are going to use your front brake too often off the road, but still, KTM has thought about everything, and they have offered the most neutral but confidence inspiring setup that they can. Now I know there are a lot of people who are saying that this is not really the Enduro R, it is just the Enduro, because the suspension travel is not the highest which you get in the overseas market. But let me tell you, what you get here is more than sufficient. And although there would be a lot of people who are complaining that this bike is not the Enduro R, I mean, most of them are not into enduro riding anyway. So if you see a lot of reviews from journalists, influencers, magazines, and whatnot, please understand that everybody is speaking from their experience and from their understanding of the product and their ability. You may be more experienced and you might like it. So, what we share with you is our feel and feedback. It might differ, your opinion might differ, and that's absolutely fine. So, if you are considering this Enduro R, go and test ride it. You will know for yourself if this bike suits your requirement or not. One ergonomic thing which you should consider if you are planning to buy this bike. So, if I try to just show you very quickly, there are no rubber tops on the pegs right now when I'm riding this bike. Someone has removed it. Someone who was riding and reviewing this bike before me. So because of that, my feet is now a bit lower on the pegs, and now because of that, the rear brake lever is a bit higher. Now I am unable to use the rear brake lever much without lifting my foot off the pegs and then using the rear brake lever. So keep that in mind. So if you are going to go off-roading and if you are going to make all of these changes, like for example, if you are going to remove the rubber top over the pegs, remember to adjust the gear lever and the brake lever, because it will cause some ergonomic issue. So keep that in mind. But in terms of stopping power, check this out. I am at almost 90 kmph right now and clutching in and only using the rear brakes, really slamming the rear brakes. The ABS did kick in because there was a bit of a sand, and stopping power is not bad. So good confidence, and the rear wheel did not lock too much even with these knobbies, and even when the road surface was not the most ideal and fully, dust free, dirt free, gravel free. So the brakes, they're good, no concern. Could they be better? Of course they could be, but should it be sharper on a bike? But should it be sharper on a bike which is going to go off-road too frequently? I don't think so. So I think what you get is reasonable enough. Maybe you can play around with different brake pads for a different feel of the brakes if you would like, and that can be a very easy fix, and you can get that from the aftermarket very easily. Now let's talk about high-speed stability. Check this out. I'm riding this bike at over 100 kilometers per hour. This road surface is not very well leveled. If you ride a super bike, your bike is gonna be moving all the time on this road. But on this 390 Enduro R, I am very comfortable, and this is not unsettling me too much. Yes, there is movement, but it is not making me uncomfortable. That is how good this suspension is, and because of this, the bike becomes so much more versatile, so much more usable all across tarmac, concrete, and off the road. So this is a good all-rounder too. It is just that out on the highway you will need more fuel stops because of the smaller fuel tank, and that you will feel a lot of wind blast. Right now at 100 kmph I am feeling wind blast. I am wearing a off-road dual sport helmet. Of course I do have a visor, that is why I can speak on this mic so nicely and you are not hearing too much of a wind noise, but still I can hear a lot of that wind. I can feel a lot of that wind on my chest as well. So it can tire some riders who are new to long distance touring. But speaking about high speed ability again, have a look at that speed. Easy, effortless, no stress at all, and 140 is no problem for this KTM 390 Enduro R. I don't know if it can do 150 plus, maybe it can on a long straight, but I don't want to try that out today. So guys, it's been quite an impressive experience, all right. Now these tires which you get with this motorcycle, KTM says that they will be available for you to purchase. So they have done their research. It's not like you will just get the factory fit set and then if you want to replace it, you're not going to get these tires in the market. They are saying that it should be easily available. So let's hope that is true. And I have been impressed by these tires. They have given me very good grip. Right now I'm on a concrete surface, accelerating hard, riding fast. I was riding up and down the Khopoli Ghat, which is a tarmac section. Nice grip, tucking into the corner. Not once did I feel nervous. Not once did I notice any slip which would scare me. So although these tires are, dual sport kinds, they are more for off-road ability. They are not bad on the highway at all. And because of that, again, you will have a lot of confidence when you are enjoying this bike on the highway. It will give you good grip. It will not scare you when you want to, say for example, just slam on the brakes and bring it to a halt and get the speed in your control. So the tires also, they back you up quite nicely. So all of these things, they are going to really impress you. And this KTM 390 Enduro R, it is quite an interesting package. It is just that, are you into such kind of motorcycles? Do such bikes look beautiful to you? It doesn't look beautiful to me at all. And is this your purpose? Do you want to ride off-roading? Is off-roading something that thrills you, gives you that adrenaline rush? Not me. Let me explain why. And you let me know in the comments if you resonate with that. I am a single child. I love motorcycling, but I love riding on the road. I love riding where, if at all there is an emergency, I can get some assistance, I can get some help. I do not like to venture out into the wild where, if anything should go wrong, I don't know what would happen. And these bikes are to take you to such places where there is nobody. But are you willing to go where there is nobody? Are you willing to risk to go where there is nobody? Because you never know what happens. So if there is a lot of responsibility on you, these kind of motorcycles will, they will attract you, but you will not be able to exploit the full potential, because at the back of your mind, you are more of a, cautious rider. This is for someone who really likes to feel that kick. These bikes are for someone who want to just, risk it out, have fun, play with the motorcycle. If you always consider the risk to reward ratio, if you want high risk, high reward, you will like it. But if you don't want risk, you just want to enjoy motorcycling, maybe get the 390 Adventure, which will take you up and down a trail very easily too. But maybe you just don't want to ride over logs and trees and big boulders with this bike, and that is absolutely fine. Don't feel any peer pressure, and your riding style is something that only you know. You know what you do with your right wrist, you know what you do with your fingers when you brake it, and with your right foot, how often you brake. So you know what suits you. So do that. You do you. Check this out. Slow moving traffic, no problem at all. And absolutely easy to overtake anyone that comes in your way, or anyone that has overtaken you and you want to return the favor. So that is it, guys. That is all that I want to share with you about this 390 Enduro R. It has been a fantastic experience, and I loved riding this motorcycle. Let me know if there is anything else that you would like to know about this bike. I will try my best to help you out, to help you make a decision. Do check out the 390 Adventure review videos. Do check out the other 390 Enduro R review video which we have uploaded, so that you can make an informed buying decision. So till next time, Remember to subscribe to the Shifting Gears channel, press that bell icon. Always ride safe, and I will see you in the next one.